Yeah, it wouldn't let me do it.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, it worked. Okay, so I am going to begin. Well, before I do that, any questions, concerns, comments? If not,
Use the chat
let's,
too. Okay. Off we go.
here we go. So just briefly, we are going to do some very brief introductions. Sue will take us through that. We're going to talk a little bit about the district strategic action plan, then club strategy and purpose, then the importance of focusing on community need. We're going to talk about leveraging community clubs and partners, service as a key driver of club success, and then final thoughts. So Sue is going to take us through a little bit of, and I'll stop the share here, a little bit of intro, and then we'll get back to the program. Go ahead, Sue.
So what I just like to do, some people have their names and clubs listed, but I'd like to just run around our circle here and tell us who you are and what club you're from, because you never know when you're going to see somebody that you want to hook up with later. So let's see, who would like, Millie, would you start?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm from the Yuma Foothills Rotary Club, and we just finished our big project of putting a shelter in the Crossroads Mission. We're going to put benches in the community park this year, only they have to be county benches. And I don't know what Lewis has got planned for next year.
Thanks, Millie. What we're going to touch on that kind of your activities in a few minutes. Can you just say your name and your club?
Oh,
So
Millie
just
Baycroft,
speak up.
Yuma Foothills Rotary Club.
That's good. Just start speaking up, everybody.
Randy Suskin, Sierra Vista Rotary Club.
Laura Clymer, Marana Rotary Club.
Gary Coxon.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm Gary
Go ahead.
Coxon from the Oral Valley Rotary Club.
Welcome.
Caitlin Allen, Ajo Rotary Club.
Welcome.
Ellie Patterson, Tucson Verde Rotary.
Jane Bird, Tucson Verde.
Sandy Goodsight from Pantano.
Ron Darrow, Valle Verde Rotary Club.
Welcome, Ron. Jean, you're muted.
Jeannie Zeta, the Tucson Rotary Club.
Thanks.
Wendy Guyton, Saddlebrook Rotary Club.
Angelica Chavez, Valley Verde Rotary Club.
Cool.
Chris Bejarano, Keno Rotary.
Welcome.
Joe Pewitt, Sierra Vista Rotary.
Valerie Donnelly and Sal, I don't know, Sal Cobus, Yuma Crossing Rotary.
Cool.
Susan Jorgensen, Yuma Foothills Rotary.
All right. Everybody spoke. Thank
From Valle Verde.
Okay. Good to see you. So everybody,
Gloria Platt, Tucson Keno Rotary.
okay. Last chance. If you haven't spoke up, we're going to move on. So I'm going to ask, since it's really difficult with this many people to have everybody brag about their service projects, I'm going to ask the first three that put your hands up that will take a minute and share one of your successful service projects. So somebody stick their hand up. Come on. Okay, Susan Jorgensen.
Yes, I actually am the finance director for Crossroads Mission, and our project for the Rotary was to do playground equipment. Actually, I'm sorry, a playground shade structure in the playground for the children at the homeless shelter. So we built a structure to go over that. Now they can go out there. They have birthday parties under the shelter, under that structure, and it's been very nice addition to their playground.
Cool. All right. Next hand that goes up. Okay, Gary.
You're calling on me. Okay.
I am.
Gosh,
Your
let's
hand
think
went up
about this.
first.
One of the things we do is we help the Impact Food Bank of Catalina. Every Saturday morning, I went this morning, we load several hundred pounds of food out of the back of Trader Joe's into the food bank truck, and then drive over to Catalina, weigh it, sort it, put it in freezers and so forth. So that's a kind of a fun weekly thing that we do. And we do that with help from our Interact Club. So we usually have some youngster future Rotarians helping us out. It's a good time, takes about an hour and a half every Saturday. So great fun.
Great way to spend your Saturday. Get one more hand. Oh, Ron.
Yes, our club has done something for the last 2 years, and it's one of the favorite things. We have established club grants. We ask our members to submit a project of their liking, and the club will give them $500 to complete the project. And just like the district grants, we require receipts, we require sustainability, and we require club member participation. And so we get 5 grants a year, 5 small projects that have a great impact.
Oh, that's a great idea, Ron.
Great idea.
So as you can see, we have 3 people, and I'm sure every single one of you could give an example of something that you're just as passionate about. Service is passion in Rotary. You can meet people from all over the world, and what do you meet them if they're Rotarians? They don't talk about their jobs or all these important things. They talk about the services they do. So that's what we're focusing on in this session, is service and how you do that, and some ideas and how we can move forward in that. So thank you for sharing all that. I think I got introduced by Mr. Grady, so you're on, Bob.
All right, so we're back to sharing. Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, I think it's a really exciting time to be in Rotary, especially District 5500. Not only is RI leading more strategically, our incoming district governor, Don Jorgensen, who's, by the way, an accomplished and very talented leader, thinks strategically. And as proof of that, he spearheaded our new district strategic action plan. Don understands that we're limited in what we can accomplish in a single Rotary year. So multi-year, multi-club collaboration is a central theme for him. At the end of the day, we hope from this session you'll take at least 3 ideas to help you going forward in the coming Rotary years. Number 1,
Do you want to move, Bob? You need to move the.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're actually, I'm not quite there yet. So.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll get there in a second. So this kind of 3 things we hope you take away from this session. 1 is choose service projects strategically, because that is the most powerful way to build your club's brand, which will drive growth and retention. 2, we'll talk about addressing key community needs in your service projects and why that's powerful. And last, we'll talk about the value of working with other clubs and organizations in your community. But before we do that, I'd like to start with talking a little bit about our District 5500 Strategic Action Plan. I can't see all of you, but show of hands, a link was sent out with the Strategic Action Plan. How many have read it? Okay, well, we asked my club that question a couple of weeks ago, and we had the same response. Not a lot of people. I highly encourage you to read it. It's and here's why. 1, as it says on this,
I read it.
You did read it. All right.
I did read it, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, and it's not because there's a lot of work that went into it. It's because I think it has the potential, if we actually implement the plan, which we're going to work hard at, of transforming Rotary in Southern Arizona. And so what does that mean? The vision of the plan is, that says here, by 2026, District 5500 Rotarians and Rotary clubs will be recognized for leading and partnering on service projects that create lasting local and global community change. I think it's a powerful thing. It says a couple of things, but 1, it's by 2026. Don is showing that it's not about his year. It's not about 23, 24. It's about the next 3+ Rotary years. Another key point is, we don't say it explicitly, but the plan is telling us The district's purpose is to facilitate club success. What Dawn and the DG line are focusing on is that what the district must do is make the club successful. Rotary happens at the club level. So we are focused on that. Third, strategic priorities, and this comes from actually RI. So this is absolutely in sync with Rotary International strategy. And that is, very briefly, increase impact in local and global communities, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. And then also underlying is the service focus is on multi-club collaboration on key local and global community needs. So next thing for us to look at is club strategy and purpose. So the district has a strategy. If you haven't read it, please, if nothing else, there is an executive summary, so kind of a cheat sheet. I encourage you to take a look at that. But strategy starts with purpose. And at the club level, it's pretty important for the club to have a sense of what its purpose is. And what does that mean? Why does a club exist? What value is it providing to the community it serves? Without, once you've got that, the strategy is simply just the planned actions to accomplish the purpose. So let me ask this. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Who has a club purpose, mission statement, vision statement, or
Correct statement.
show raise of hand.
Yeah, it's there in the mission statement.
Okay.
We do.
And that's good. I mean, Wendy, do you want to? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will. Do you want to share your club's mission statement?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just briefly, what is the focus?
Well, our focus is on the Copper Corridor, north of the Saddlebrook communities, the communities of Oracle, San Manuel, and Mammoth. And we work with the schools, the community councils, the community centers, and we focus all of our monies and all of our service in that area.
Okay, super. Does anyone else like to share?
Yes. Yes, our Yuma Crossing purpose is we focus on the Crossroad mission and also the American Legion and giving scholarship. This is the icing on our cake.
Okay, thank you.
This is
And
a major part of it. Yes.
I will add for one more, the Catalina, my club, Catalina's club, and it's longer than this, but the important part is our purpose is to change the lives of children in need. So, so what's the value there? I mean, I think there's a lot of value. For one thing, and that's been our mission for 5 years. All of the major projects we have done have done that. But to me, the biggest value of that, as far as not only just to support, planning, service projects, et cetera, but if a non-Rotarian asks, what is your club about? It's very crisp. But what our club does is we change the lives of children in need. And if that doesn't float your boat, it's not the club for you, and that's fine. Because I'd rather not have someone join our club who doesn't buy into that, isn't supporting that. But I think it's a tremendous tool, again, not only to guide action and service, but also to tell the community what you're about. I'm going to go back to sharing.
I think we have a question, Bob.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to give you Keno's mission statement. I had to run for it.
Okay, sure, please.
The mission of the Keno Rotary Club is to be a dynamic group that provides service to others worldwide with an emphasis on youth literacy and the community.
Cool.
Very cool. And and it works because frankly, if you asked me for all at least the clubs in the Tucson area, which I'm more familiar with, what their purposes are, I know several of them, but I'll tell you, Keno is one I know. I've never been to one of your meetings. I do know a number of members, but I know that because of the work you do. I know, Ellie's club is environmental. I know that as well. Yeah, at any rate, the purpose, mission, vision statement, whatever you want to call it, I think it is essential. So I encourage you, and it doesn't have to happen overnight. It's something you begin to work on. And by the way, the district will be providing what they're calling district visioning support. And so that'll be coming up either toward the end of this year or the next Rotary year in July. So if you're looking for help to do that, to develop a mission statement, the district will be able to provide some resources to help you to do that. So at the end of the day, on this one here, I'm just gonna, it's an open question, it's rhetorical, but what would Rotary be if the majority of our service projects and fundraising and our grants were tied to club purpose? I say it's rhetorical, I've got an answer to that. I think it would be a powerful way to send a message to the community who we are. I mean, one of my always, continuing disappointments is if you ask the average person what Rotary is, they don't know. If we have a purpose, what we do focuses on that purpose, I think that begins to change. Next, we're going to move to community needs, and I'm going to ask our soon-to-be DGE Sue to.
So community needs, and each of us know parts of that for our communities. When you have a club together, I'm always surprised when our club talks or I listen to other clubs talk. Everybody has a different view of what the community needs in their community, in what they are. So going through a visioning process or a planning process or figuring out your purpose narrows that down. It narrows down to what message you can give out to the community about who you are. So just to follow up on that, how do you figure that out? Who do you go to? Where do you talk to? How do you do that? What is it that puts those things together for you as a club? I think lots of clubs do this without even thinking about it. They get passionate about a service project. They get excited. They pull people in through their excitement. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that to me is why we do a lot of things that we do. But think about how you as a club or you as an individual could help your club identify the community needs that you want to address. And think about that. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do that, but there are better strategies than others. And one is to come up with a common language that you all share. And you heard that from some of the clubs that we've talked to. Some of you guys have great, and when you remember them, it's even better. Sorry. And when you go out and talk to the newspaper or you do an interview or you write an article, I know in my little community in Sonoyta, Patagonia, we have our local community paper, and keeping us relevant is staying in that newspaper every month, talking about who we are, what we're doing. And when you read back, you can tell where our passions are, and our passions are with schools and kids. So you can tell that just by reading about us. And when you get projects that fit into that, people come to you, as you all know. Some of us have had lots of experience doing service projects, but what we haven't had as much experience in is to joining with other clubs to do that project. I don't know how many of you participated in the cleanup of the river. There were a lot of clubs helping to clean up the river in Tucson. So that's an example of a project that pulled together lots of different clubs. Everybody had a great time. We worked hard. It made a difference for all of us that were involved, and we take that feeling of camaraderie back to our clubs. The worst thing I think that can happen in a club is that when people feel like they're all alone. I've never been outside of my own club. I've never done anything with any other community club or community groups. Some of us are in communities that don't have other community clubs, other Rotary clubs. So you get to know other groups and you're part of that. So what I'd like to ask everybody to think for a minute, and I'm going to ask 3 or 4 of you, get the hands up first. What are examples in your community of key needs that you're aware of? So can you put us back? There you go. Read my mind. So think about that. What are examples of key issues in the communities you're served? So first hand, throw your hand up and I'll call your name if your name's there. or I'll call you anyway. All
Looks
right.
like
Michelle.
Caitlin has her
I
hand
got
raised.
one. I got one, Michelle. You're muted, Michelle.
Child literacy, I think, is an important element in our community, and we do that through a number of
Okay.
activities. And so I think a lot of what we do in our club is devoted to children, their needs, their needs for nutrition, their needs for clothing, their needs for, I think literacy is a key thing.
So Michelle, just a comment. My bet is someone else on the screen has a similar passion, that their clubs do something similar to that. So wouldn't it be nice to hook up two clubs to focus on those issues and discovering who out there has some of the same passions? The power of the two clubs doing a project brings more hands to the table, more money on the table, and more opportunities to promote. So I heard Caitlin, you had your hand up. Where'd you go?
Yeah, so our community is I would say over 70% of our community is in the poverty level. So poverty is huge in our community. And so the two things that we do is we do a scholarship banquet. So we connect with all of the seniors and we host that scholarship banquet. And then during Christmas, we host the Christmas in the plaza, and we give out free food and treats to the people of Ajo.
So there's a small community. I mean, Ajo is pretty small, not much
Yeah.
around them. So how, I mean, helping Ajo out might be a real interesting project for another club to join them. Maybe they don't have to be in the same area, but they have some of the same passions. All right, another hand. Who's got a hand up that I can see? Oh, Fatima. You're
You're on
muted.
mute.
You're muted, Fatima. Still muted. Okay, I'll come back to you, okay? Jean.
Okay, so our Tucson Rotary Club has got one of our focus areas is addressing homelessness in Tucson. And one of the ways we work with that is that with our car show that we raise funds for, we pick beneficiaries that we actually take nominations from club members on which nonprofits would be to be considered for beneficiaries of the car show. And so we had this year 2 of the programs that will be funding out of the car show proceeds that will be addressing that. One is the Old Pueblo Community Services that has a home project that helps get people into housing. And another one is, it's actually more about people getting off the streets, and it's working with Pima Community College Foundation and their workforce opportunities program. And they're providing training down by Gospel Rescue Mission to help people that get off the streets and start being helped there, helping them get vocational training so they get certifications and skills to be employed. And we think both of those. Our third one is Big Brothers Big Sisters with a Mentorship 2.0 program, which is actually more on a forward-looking way, how to help kids get mentorships that help them see their worth and their value so they won't end up getting homeless, and hoping that they get a good start. So we sort of address projects through what we get grant proposals in for to be considered to be beneficiaries for our car show proceeds.
So as a large club, partnering, it might be interesting for you to partner with a small club and work together towards some similar goals, because they sound like a lot of other people's goals. So sometimes when you're either extreme, doing things on your own, you get into that routine and you really don't get to know what other people are doing. And it's important as we work together. Our community partners are invaluable to most of us. Most of us work with our communities in ways that are pretty amazing.
Yeah. The other thing I do wanted to say is that in addition to deciding which groups we'll do some funding for, my goal as the service projects chair in my club is to also see that we come up with some projects where our Rotarians are volunteering with those organizations and getting to know what they're really doing, not just picking them because they made a presentation to our club and we felt they were the ones we wanted to fund.
Yeah.
And we did just do a joint project at the YMCA camp, the
Good.
ranch camp with Saddlebrook and Catalina and our club. And we had 45 people there back on April 2nd, planting fruit trees in a Rotary garden, and also building a fence at the resident director's home and doing the weed whacking and tree trimming we usually do. But we got a district grant to go with some of our grant and coordinated volunteers with 3 clubs to pull it off. It was really great fun.
I hope you took lots of pictures.
We did, and we sent them in the grant report. So
Cool, cool.
you'll see them.
All right, Fatima, you're still muted?
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Besides, what we do for Thanksgiving, we do host the community for Thanksgiving food and Mother's Day, Father's Day felicitation. But there's another thing that we do during the vacation, summer vacation. We have movie night for the children in an area where, they don't have any opportunities. So every Tuesdays we have a movie night where we give them during the movie, we give them snacks and things like that, where even the parents come. And for some, it is the only meal for the day.
So key issues. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Key
And then
issues.
we
What are your key issues though? What are your key community issues? That's.
Yeah, because they don't have an recreation, the kids.
Okay.
So that's why.
Cool, cool. I think it matters. So we have a smattering of, I'm sure each one of you could talk at length about things that you're doing. The strategy also is to make sure that word gets out beyond your club and your partners. So if you can help all of us, that helps all of us. If someone sees something, whether you get photographs on a Facebook page or some of the more recent stuff that our young people are using, whether you get information out, and the gift you can get back is somebody calls and says, how can I help?
Yeah, that's good.
So let's see, Bob, club collaboration. We've talked a little bit about that, but let's keep rolling because that's key.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Just one key point I want to talk about on community needs is, how do you identify them? My suggestion is clubs work together to talk with community leaders, talk with mayor, the town manager, school superintendent. At the end of the day, I think we all know there's no community in Arizona, actually there's no community in the world that doesn't have major challenges or issues.
Yeah.
It's just a question of really identifying, the most pressing ones. And sometimes we don't know what those are. I can tell you from experience, when I was president back in the day, actually it was 2018, I partnered with actually the Rotary Club of Tucson. Chuck Sawyer was the president back then. Chuck, Mike Espinoza from Rincon and I met with the superintendent of the Tucson Unified School District, Dr. Trujillo, who's still in that position. And just asking, is there something we could do? Without hesitation, he said, here's my number one problem. 40%, and some of you have already heard this, but to me, it's so alarming. I'm going to share again. 40% of my third graders do not read at grade level. Why that's important is because after third grade, they don't teach you to read. You now move on to other things. So so literacy is actually a crisis. And by the way, with the pandemic, the situation isn't better, it's worse. So, and the point is, if you can't read by grade 3, the chances are very high you will not succeed academically. And if you don't succeed academically, you have one heck of a life. So that's not only, it's terrible for these kids, it's terrible for society. I mean, if 60% or 40% of our kids don't really read well, what does that mean for Tucson? So at any rate, the point is the issues are there, and it's up to us to kind of find them. But how powerful would it be if, literacy is one, but Jenny mentioned homelessness. How powerful would it be if we got of the 17 area clubs in Tucson, we get, half or more of them to work together on literacy, on homelessness. I believe, if we've got a 10% name recognition in this town, I believe we would double and triple that. People would begin to understand we know what Rotary is. And once people know what Rotary is, I mean, the floodgates will open. We will no longer have a membership issue because they want to be part of the solution. They just need to know where to go for that. So at any rate, I think that does
Just
the
by a
last thing.
show of hands, just a quick show of hands, how many of you have met with the city council, school board members, as a club, representing your club, or key community leaders? Just by a show of hands, how many have actually done that?
Okay, fantastic.
It is so key to do that. And that also raised awareness. I know going in front of the city council puts you in front of a whole bunch of people talking about Rotary. So just curious. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah. And so what I'm suggesting there is in each community that we get, several clubs work together, figure out who they want to talk to, go off and talk to these community leaders together. I don't think we don't want a stream of clubs trying to meet individually. Work together, come up with a short list of projects and decide let's take one and let's see how it goes. I think tremendously powerful thing. So how do you do that? What I would suggest is you club presidents talk to your AG and tell your AG what you want to do, and try to get a couple of other clubs to work with you to go off and do that. So now, well, actually, any quick, Ellie, you've got your hand up.
Bob, just quickly, we have a relationship with a couple of council members, and we're really pleased that they will put our projects in their newsletter.
Cool.
They go out with a weekly newsletter, and so that Rotary name is out there to thousands of people.
Yeah,
and
fantastic.
And I think just asking them to do it, anybody probably could. They would be willing to post something, but we found that to be very
That's a
successful.
great strategy, Ellie. That's a great knowing where to go.
She's very nice.
Yeah, I think it's tremendously powerful for us to be known for something. I think if anything, we're known for almost everything, and
Correct.
People don't identify with that. So, hey,
Sandy's
Sandy?
got her hand up. Sandy's got her hand up. Sandy.
Yeah, speaking about homelessness and all the things that have been in the news about homelessness.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Including the fact that my sister's house had a homeless camp behind it for a time. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
You're breaking up quite a bit.
Anyway, I thought perhaps we should think about finding out. Okay. I thought that we should be able to find out if there's any possibility of having some of these storage units that all have locks on them and all of that, have people being able to rent them, because that way they won't be out on the streets. And especially now that it's going to be so hot, it would be pretty awful to see all of this again happening as it has been. And not to mention what will happen when the border opens. That's going to be an incredible thing for all of us to do, help with whatever we can with our community groups.
I agree.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, we're going to share my screen again. We're going to go back now, talk about a little bit more about collaboration. We've begun to talk about it, but there's a little bit more to say.
Oh, God.
And we've already talked about every community has difficult. Whoops, I'm on the wrong slide. Okay, there we go. Club collaboration. Common issues today with service projects, and I think most clubs, if not all clubs, face these. One, we never seem to have enough volunteers. I mean, I'm in the Catalina, which is a 56 member club, one of the larger clubs in the district. I can tell you, we've got that problem. Virtually every project where we could use more volunteers. Boy, doesn't that suggest it would make sense to figure out a way to work together? But the other thing too is I also hear complaints about, we don't do projects in some of the areas that I'm most passionate about. So you know, especially in a larger community and certainly in the area of, in case of Tucson with 17 plus clubs, there are going to be projects that resonate with almost everybody. So I think we just need to do a much better job of working together, making it easier to work together on projects, to you know, to make it known whatsoever. I believe the key thing that Rotary is not taking advantage of is we don't leverage our size. We act as a bunch of, you know, there are a lot of exceptions. So I know some clubs work together and that's fantastic, but I think our collaboration is probably 10% of what it should and could be. To leverage our size, you know, we've got almost 1,400 members in the district, you know, 600 plus in Tucson. Let's put that, let's make, you know, use that to our advantage. So what would happen if all or most of the clubs in a community work together to address a key community need? So I'd like to talk about that. So what are your thoughts about collaboration? If we start working together, what do you think happens? Wendy?
I think we have to let other people know what we're doing and that we need more volunteers, like with the YMC camp thing and with the river camp, with the human trafficking forum. You know, I think communication is so important so that, you know, when a club is doing something, that you're able to join ranks with them and have a bigger impact.
Well, it's
more
important to
exposure.
get that information out. Here's what's going on. I think that helped your project. That help is getting that out frequently. Here's what's going on. If you're available, join us. Ellie. Where'd you go? You're muted.
I just said, and more exposure too.
Oh, right. Joe, I just need to, can you focus a little bit on what goes on in Sierra Vista clubs? Because you guys do a lot together that I know.
Yeah, sometimes we're pretty good at it and sometimes we're not. And to be honest, it takes a much more conscious effort to, I don't know, bring us together. Because we do have a lot of clubs close together. There's no reason that we shouldn't do stuff together. There's certain annual events that we absolutely partner with the other clubs. 4th of July is a good example of that, where we do some major fundraising associated with particularly fireworks and involve other clubs. Some of our individual club projects were not as good. It's kind of hit or miss whether we bring everybody together. It used to be that we would undertake a certain project, dictionaries and thesauri, in Sierra Vista as a club-to-club collaboration, you know, where we had our local power company, SSVEC, contribute basically purchasing of dictionaries and thesauruses, and then we would divide up all our schools between our various clubs, and each different club would go out to particular schools and deliver those. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, that particular project has fallen apart a bit. But I don't know. We need to do a better job to bring folks back together again.
There's also clubs that do joint, I mean, my club and Benson Club, which are two small clubs, do our annual fundraisers together. The attitude about that is it doesn't matter where the money goes. We both know it's going to go out in the community. So we split those profits right down the middle, and we know it's all going to get spent. So for a small club that struggles with stuff like that, that's made a difference for our club. Two small clubs came together to raise money to get it back out in the community. So it's an example of another kind of collaboration, but that's turned out really good for two really small clubs. Other thoughts? Kaylin.
Yeah, so obviously Ajo's in the middle of nowhere and we don't have any Rotary clubs nearby. So we actually partner with other organizations in town, like the Elks Lodge, and a lot of our members overlap. So we're able to share a lot of information when we're at our different meetings to make sure that everybody's aware of the different things that each club is doing independently of one.
Thank you, because that's a very key point. You know, I've talked about, you know, the larger communities. There are a lot of clubs that are off by themselves. And that's exactly what I would suggest is partner with other organizations. It doesn't even have to be a service organization. You know, it could be other nonprofits, could be, you know, schools, could be whatever. At the end of the day, it's really not initially about Rotary. It's about serving the community. If we successfully serve the community in a way that is important to the community, I believe that tells people what Rotary is. People will value that, and they will support Rotary. Ron?
Yeah, I love this, and we have worked with the Rotary clubs in Green Valley area together on different projects. But there's one way that we as Rotarians can collaborate with almost every club in the district. And I want to thank the district for sending out notifications on club fundraisers. If you can't pick up trash in the riverbed, but you can go to the car show, that's a collaboration with the other clubs. So if you see a fundraiser come up that you want to do, like 2 Box, the food thing. Sorry, I
Taste
can't.
of 2 Back.
Yeah, Taste of 2 Back. Thank you. And you like wine and you like great food, go to that. Now you've collaborated with that club by supporting their fundraiser. And especially if you like jazz in the desert.
Well, I think that's something we started this year, which I think has been really successful. And Ginger's
Sure.
been handling that, getting that out regularly. So it's not just out once a month, it's out. She does it free. I think that has helped.
I think it has. And I just encourage everybody, if you see something that looks like fun, go to their fundraiser. It helps them.
Great way to look at it.
Yeah.
There's somebody else had their hand up.
One more, Jeannie.
I just want to say, I agree with that. Jazz in the Desert was absolutely wonderful down there.
fabulous.
I did go to that. And it's about the Tucson Car Show. I just want to say it is also, there's a chance for clubs across the district, if they would like to be ticket selling partners, they could keep half of the money of every ticket. And at $10 a ticket, it's a way to share in the proceeds with other clubs who'd like to be ticket selling partners. I know Catalina has done it. Saddlebrook is doing it. Valley Verde has done it.
Pantano has done it. It's actually
Pantano's done a lot.
one of the Pantano's largest fundraising sources.
Yeah,
So it's very powerful.
And the good news is you can do it online. You don't even have to, you have to sign an agreement that you're doing it so that we know you're doing it. But people can credit your club online for buying tickets through you. And we've got some new tools this year that you can customize it to be sure that when they go buy the tickets, it gets credited to your account. So
one last thought for me in regards to this kind of collaboration. We need to brag about this stuff, guys. We need to tell people what we're doing. And we talk to ourselves, we get excited ourselves, but we need to go out beyond our boundaries. If we want to grow membership or if we want to have more impact, we need to let people know the capacity that we have, the passion that we have, because we've always been a really humble group. Rotary's humble. We don't talk about what we do, and we need to do that, a better job at that. And when you start working together in different communities, it can make a huge difference, but we need to brag about it.
Okay, a couple of 4 points on club collaboration, and then we'll do a wrap up here. So what I tell people about collaborating with other clubs, my personal experience, I've been invited to work with other clubs, and I jump at the chance now because it's always great. It's always fun. You meet, well, actually, you meet, but you get to know other Rotarians, better. It's always a great thing. And so there are things that for example, Tucson Sunset has had some projects. I I help them out every year. I've been doing that for a couple of years now. It's a great thing once you do it. Point here is we need to encourage our members to take that first step, which leads me to my last point before we move on. And that is, how do we make this collaboration happen? It's not an easy thing. We've tried various things. Most recent thing we did, some of you were involved. We put I tried to lead an effort to put a spreadsheet together with common, interests and service projects. And, to be very honest, that really didn't go very far. I believe it's up to you. It's up to club leaders to take the initiative to reach out to one or two other clubs that you think may have similar purposes or areas of interest and say, hey, what would you think about going to meet with the school superintendent or whoever, a couple of community leaders, let's get some information about what the community needs are and see where that goes. So I'm going to leave it to you to say, I believe that is, and you can also involve your assistant governors, your AGs. But I believe, end of the day, that's how this thing happens.
It's not just, though, the one point, Bob, it's not just the club leaders. Anybody can do that. Anybody can reach out, have a conversation with somebody else, go out and have a cup of coffee, get to know each other.
Sure. Any last questions on that before we go to our wrap up? Okay, Sue? I'll share the screen again.
Sure. What I hope you go away with this is just just think about visioning for your club. Take the time, take a meeting, talk about strategic, what are we going to do? Who are we going to be? How do we define ourselves? Some of you have done a really good job at that. My club really hasn't. They need to. They just haven't. So it's something we need to think about. I think it's important, though, that as many of your members are on the same page. And people have lots of their own ideas and enthusiasm, and please tap in and out of all that. Every new member that comes into our club, we ask them, what are they interested in doing? How can we fit that into our routines? So I hope you go away from here thinking about, how does our club has a vision? Do we know who we are? Do we have a good idea of that? If not, let's take a shot at it. Let's take a look at that. Maybe a small committee starts it. Maybe you do it, like I said, you do it at a meeting. Maybe there's a place for that conversation. Start identifying community needs, figure out, go talk to your school districts, talk to your community members, talk to business leaders, find places to go have a conversation. Each city has a different group of people that run their cities or that are the popular folks that everybody talks to. It's okay, go talk to them because it matters. And if you select a project, make sure you're doing it to meet those root causes of community needs. We talk about homelessness, we talk about literacy, we talk about issues with seniors. I know a club that totally works with animals. They're interested in animals and they're doing a lot with their animal shelter. It depends on your interest. There is no right or wrong in Rotary. It's what you and your club feel like it's important in your community. How can I make a difference as a club? Because one person can make a difference, but a club can make a big difference, and 2 or 3 clubs can even make a bigger difference. Again, for those of us that are rural clubs, you've got to find a way to do that makes sense with your community partners like Ajo's doing. I think Ajo's a great example of a club that's small, that knows their community probably better than some of us do. So those are my last thoughts. I challenge you to go do that with your club, or to think about how to fit it in. Either, start your new year out with a new vision for who you are. What a great way to attract folks. Any final comments?
Well, before we do that, I'll add one thing.
Okay.
Remember, you're not on your own here. You've got resources available to you. You have your assistant governors. You have, as I mentioned, there'll be a district visioning team that will be available to help you, especially if you're looking for help to envision and mission. I don't want to speak for Sue, but I think I can speak for Sue that Sue and I are available if you want to talk after this. about next steps. I believe this is the single most important next step for Rotary. Rotary is not growing. I'll be kind in most areas of the country. We are okay. We're kind of holding steady, but frankly, we're in one of the largest growth areas of the country. We should be growing. We need to grow. I think we can grow, especially if we do a lot of the things we've talked about today. So on that note, questions, comments, suggestions?
Gonna have to be quick.
Yeah, we've got like 3 minutes.
Oh, I think
we
we're
got
done.
58 seconds.
But thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. Hope to see you at the upcoming events. Make sure you say hi, and I'll say hi back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Leo, just so you know, I couldn't record in ours. I was going to do it for Bob, and it wouldn't let me record. Bob was able to record, but I couldn't.
I must not have, you must not have been a co-host.
That's okay.
As long
I'm
as you
just-
got it done, it doesn't matter who does it. Yeah.
No, I just didn't know if there was a quirk in the system or whatever, but that's okay, just so you know.
Yeah.
So Bob has it.
Okay.
Thank you, Leo, for all of your amazing hard work
Oh, no problem.
on this. You were just incredible.
Well, I just got to sit here and watch the Liverpool soccer match, while you guys did all the work.
Well, there you go. Good for you. I'm glad it worked out.
There were a few people that got booted out or came late, but for the most part, it was pretty easy work.
He was really just watching the live stream of the coronation of King Charles.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sure.
That
so
that
fast.
was at 5 o'clock this morning.
We'll probably reruns.
Tell me all about it. Hey, Leo.
Yes. Well, my family, I'm a first generation English, so I had to watch that. Well, I don't think everybody's back yet, but
I'm excited that people came. This is a different way of doing a club assembly, so I hope it met people's needs and made some sense. I think we're waiting for
yeah, Dawn should be in
Don
a
to
second.
come in,
Yeah.
but I just think it's great that this many people came. I think by doing it this way, we might even have more attendance next year. So
Yeah.
spread the
Yeah.
word.
We found that out in my old district during COVID. We did 2 assemblies by Zoom. In fact, I did our conference by Zoom for 500 people.
Wow.
And but we continued to do the Zooms even for assemblies, even when we were doing them in person, because we like doing it in person too. You do get a little different, capability, but
I think, Leo, what's impressive is if you look, I mean, we started out with 80 something and we still have 73 people who are still here.
that's right. They're not necessarily the same 73, but
But the numbers, it's impressive.
yeah, it stayed pretty consistent. Yeah, we had 37, 21, and 20 for these last sessions. So
That's great. Well, I know it is coming up on lunchtime, and
There's
folks
Don.
that have sat through all 3 probably need a restroom break. So let me, wrapping up the way I started by thanking, first of all of our facilitators, just tremendous programs. I appreciate all the work you went in. I hope you all enjoyed it, learned some things, and got some great tips. I know a lot of them did provide their contact information for you. I will offer, if later on you want to get in contact with one of them, have a question and forget that, feel free to email me and I'll connect you and take care of that. Again, I also want to thank Kasha for handling the registration and finding a way for all of us to be here, and Leo for making it all work. It's running things behind the scenes, and here was just tremendous. And I really appreciate his masterful management of Zoom.
my pleasure.
Again, I want to thank all of you for your time, and really, this is Rotary. This is our commitment to getting more effective at delivering, to being of service in the community. I heard a great comment. I'm actually up in Phoenix at the moment at the District 5495 conference. And someone mentioned yesterday, talked about the fact that issues come up in clubs and conflicts come up in clubs. And his response to that is, if your club's having conflicts, that means you're not busy enough. And I think everyone here is busy looking at more and more ways to be of service and deliver service. So with that, I want to thank you all for doing that. As I said in the beginning, our focus next year is creating hope in the world. And I hope this makes you more effective at doing that and helping to change lives. So with that, thank you all very much and wish you a great weekend. And
Thank you,
we are
Don.
finished.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.